Was that, is that coming through?
No. So
So I guess I hold it. Okay. I think the proposal is pretty straightforward, and I think the application should be pretty complete. So you all know what I'm proposing. A little background on it. It's a very small existing lot of record. I have an application before the zoning board scheduled for hearing next month. So it will need a few variances. The background on it was that it was formerly a part of Flavia Clark's property, which Nate and Kara Stinnett now own, and they sold Gabriella and I this lot so that they could make their down payment to make that purchase. But that's not really relevant to what we're discussing here. I'd like to say it's a very, very small house. It's 22 feet square, which, to put that in perspective, I could build it in this room with room to walk around it all the way around. Like it's
Two-car garage.
You'd have trouble getting a 2-car garage in 22 square feet. And if you parked a Suburban next to it, it would stick out on both ends.
What is the square footage, John?
About 800, including the upstairs. 480,
Including the upstairs?
including the upstairs, right? 484 is the square footage of the base footprint. As most of you know, I've been doing very high performance, energy efficient and sustainable houses for a while. And so the walls are 11 inches thick on this, and that makes a small house even smaller. So I really think that I've designed the smallest 1-bedroom functional house that you could fit. And that's part of the challenge for me. I'm calling it a little house. It's not a tiny house. A tiny house in the industry is something else. It requires, to build what's called a tiny house, you need to have some relief on things like stairway width, toilet clearances, bedroom size. So this is a house that meets every code. The stairs are legal. It's got a full kitchen. It has a full bedroom, closet, storage space, 2 bathrooms, etc. Not sure what else you need to know. It's pretty self-explanatory. I can answer any questions you have, or I can elaborate on it. I'm hoping that we can take care of both parts of your application here. Obviously, citing and massing is what we do at the first meeting, but given I think all the details you would need to approve the second phase as well. That's up to you.
Thank you. Any members have questions or comments?
I think it's a very sweet little house. My 2 questions are, why are you doing board and batten? Because I don't think anything else up there is board and batten. I could be wrong.
You're right. Nothing on Calico Hill is board and batten. What they would call this in the industry is modern farmhouse. I'm sure you know. You're seeing quite a bit of it now in the architectural world. And like most things, it's not new. Julie Roundtree's house on Spring Street is probably the best example here. That's 130 odd years old, and this is very similar. The detailing is pretty similar. As to why I'm doing board and batten, 2 reasons. One, I want to make it as maintenance free as possible. So it's a ventilated rain screen. And the other is because in my search over the last decade or so for a good exterior wall system, I haven't found one that doesn't require 2 layers of sheathing. In other words, exterior rigid insulation with a layer of sheathing over it, because most of what we do here is shingled, and there isn't really an alternative to that. I don't want to wrap 2 layers of plywood sheathing around. I'm trying to save money. I'm trying to make it more efficient, more sustainable. So board and batten is the answer.
And my other comment is, I work with the Historical Society in Connecticut, and when you use rigid insulation, as you're showing it, it's good practice to put the furring between the first layer of plywood and the rigid to allow air to flow in that cavity. Otherwise, you're going to get from the heat of the house and get rot. So it's just.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. This is a little bit more complex stack, they call it, than that. The air barrier is the first and only layer of sheathing. And then there's rigid on the outside of that, and the ventilation is
Right, I'm
outside of
saying
that.
between the rigid and the sheathing and the first layer of sheathing. Is to have the air barrier there.
Okay,
So
that is where the air barrier is. Right. The air barrier is the air impermeable layer which keeps air from moving in into the house, makes it essentially airtight. The ventilation is outside of that.
Giving you what I think.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
Bill, any questions?
It's a sweet little house,
Oh, well, thank you.
well designed, gets everything in there and you make plenty of space.
What I hope it becomes is the first truly net zero house on the island. That's what I'm aiming for.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm aiming to have it the first truly net zero energy house on the island. That's my target. It's a high bar to reach, but this is a house that's designed to make it. Of course, it depends on how it's used. There's some occupant participation in that goal.
This is an application for a preliminary hearing, which means we're looking at siting and massing. How many people have actually, on the board, have actually looked at the site, physically looked at the site?
I've done it for several times.
Have you've been up? And you? Obviously, I haven't. I just returned on Saturday.
Yeah, it's very hard to see from anywhere.
So my question is, I'm wondering whether it's appropriate to move if we can't address the issue of considering it's such a substandard lot, whether we need to physically take a look at the site before we can approve this application
Final.
for preliminary, for massing.
You looked at it, you looked at it.
Two
Oh, sorry.
of the four of us have.
Okay, well, what do they think?
I think the size of the house, and if you go to try to use the elevations, six.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Of this back. I have a problem with this one. To a certain size, but,
I gave you the site section that starts from Ocean Ave and ends up in the parking area up on top of Calico Hill. It's a little deceptive because I gave you the silhouette of the house, and that includes the porch, which makes the silhouette a little bigger than it is. I think you also have an aerial shot. You have the radius map in your packet. That gives you a view. I spent some time with two of my neighbors, Cindy Lasser and Paul, and also with Joe Buda, who bought the former HDC house, which is the white gingerbread house in the back. We spent some time when I first designed this, looking at it from their properties, from their porches. They have no objection. They can barely see it. Cindy can't see it at all. From the Buddha house, the only thing it does is block the view of the dumpsters in the back of the Albion building. So they're very happy about that. It doesn't affect anybody's view anywhere. You can see it. The only place you can see it from a public road is from Ocean Ave in front of the BIG. You can see it kind of tucked up in the hill. But the house doesn't stick out above anything around it. I think it'll pretty much disappear in that little hollow there.
How do you feel about it?
I think if Kay and Bill have visited the site and they're okay with it, I'll agree with them. Because I think it's a nice little, it's an obtrusive little house.
Then I'd like to take a vote on approving for siding and mass.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Someone second that, did you second?
No, it was just for siding and massing.
Then it's approved.
take a motion to approve it.
Approve the motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve this, this residence based on the fact that it fits into the community and it's small and it's nice.
What about finding of facts?
Well, it respects the historic district. And it's unobtrusive.
Anything there? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, for the second part, thank you for that. I appreciate the consideration. For the second part, you know, obviously I still have to go through zoning, so time is not pressing on me, but if we want to save time, if you have everything in this packet that you would need for the final details,
I think
love
we're
to have
just
you go
going to
ahead
rule
with
on prime preliminary at this point.
okay, that's up to you.
Could you just let the applicant know if you need any additional information for so that
Sure.
We need window details, you know, what windows you're gonna use and the fact that they have two muntins.
Yeah, I have that on the page of details. The windows are by Access in Canada, which is a company I've been using. They make a European style window, a tilt turn, but they're basically the same style I used on my Victorian on top of the hill. From the outside, you really can't tell that they're not two
Yeah, but-
two over one double hungs.
I think we need it, John.
The elevations have all of the grill patterns on them. They're mostly 2/1s. There's arch top and there's a 3/1 in the kitchen just because it proportions better. Then that page has at the 1.5 equals a foot scale that you asked for. I have the roof details, the trim details, siding details, window and door casing, head and sill. I think everything on your list is there. Happy to provide more if you need it. As I say, I can come back next month, but we could save both of us some time.
I think considering the fact that there are so many issues before the zoning, that we'll wait and do the final after approval.
Well, that's fine, but could you, as Jen said, could you let me know now if there's anything?
Can you
beyond
give us
this
cuts
page?
on the windows?
Excuse me?
Give us cut sheets on the windows?
I could give you cut sheets. Do you want one sample or the whole package?
Do you want a sample of the window or? No, and the doors.
Pardon?
We need a cut sheet on the windows and the doors. That's what everybody else gives us. And corner board material.
There are no corner boards beyond the battens.
It looks like they're corner boards.
Yeah.
John, what is the material of the siding?
Want to use fiber cement?
Pardon?
I want to use fiber cement,
Siding,
which is a recycled, reclaimed materials, mostly made from fly ash.
is that Wonderboard? That's not,
No, there's quite a bit of it. You've approved it. I believe it's the same material that you've used. Mike Finnemore has used on a couple of his buildings. I'll be using obviously vertical board and batten, but it's the same material
Same
and finish. Yeah. Yeah, it's sustainable. It's durable.
both the board and the battens?
Yes, same material. Yep.
It looks like there are corner boards on the drawings.
Generally, on a board and batten house, the corner boards are made out of a batten on either side of the corner. If she drew it, she may have drawn it a little bit larger than that. If there is a corner board, it would match the casings.
do you want the material? Is that the material?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. I'll have a sample of the material.
Okay, so sample of material and window and door package.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, on all of the windows and doors. Okay, I can do that. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you, Jim. next item on the agenda is Tagney Lot 75, 350 High Street. Did I pronounce that correctly? Hi. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And she's recusing? Jen? She's going to recuse?
I can still act with 3 members.
But if she has issues that need to be brought to the, and she's recusing, then
No, she just needs to fill out the form for the ethics. She doesn't need to state why she's resisting.
okay. But we really only then have 3 people that are speaking to the application.
And you can act on it with 3 members, you can do it 4 members open.
Okay. Tell us about your project.
It's off of High Street. It's an existing home. And I'm here today for the back side of the house where there was replaced. So we would like to move the,
Oh, yes.
yeah. There's a door on, from the back side, there's a door on the left side of the house, which is actually part of the bathroom on the left side, the rear of the house. So we would like to move that door to the right side and make it a French door out of the dining room. That would be this picture here. This is existing.
Right. So that's the extent of the change?
No, and then there's a cement patio, 14.5 feet long, outside of this door on the rear side. And because we would like to move this door to the other side of the house, we would like to move that into a wooden deck. This is cement. We had to really destroy it to get to the rotted sills. So it's basically taken half down now. So my request today is for moving this door to the other side and making it a French door, and also removing this cement, 14.5 foot cement patio now to this side under the French door. Making it into a wooden deck with AZAC decking, no rails.
So we're looking at the front elevation and the rear elevation? You say this side and that side. I'm trying to coordinate.
Yeah, this is the rear of the house.
That's
So
the rear elevation.
Going from the left side where the door is now, that's to be the left side of the rear of the house. And we'd like to change that entry to the right side of the rear of the house. I'm kind of new at this, so maybe I'm not explaining it properly.
It's hard to decipher what's, because you're only presenting, I guess, the new,
That would be the
there's no
new,
existing.
yes. Yes. I had to print it up today. The old plot plan, which shows the existing cement patio.
We don't have. that.
No, I just had it, I didn't realize that you might want to see this. I did it today.
Jen? He has a plot plan, but it's not included in the package.
The new plot plan is, but not the old one.
Do you need it?
Well, if we're gonna review the patio. But there's no existing with this. It's only the proposed. So isn't it normal to have the submission include the existing versus the proposed?
It's usually what's being proposed, that you want to see with the site, specifically the site plan.
At my first meeting with the historic on Zoom, this here wasn't included in that package. I thought it should be in that package from my first meeting.
The file.
But I reprinted it into a smaller version.
It says Suzanne Rivets.
I think that's what it does, yes.
It's from the previous owner.
Uh-huh.
It's like flat 7, 5.
Bill, do you have some?
7.
I actually have been on this site. I was working down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, just so everyone knows, this proposed porch on the backside affects no one's views. It actually cleans up that area back there quite well. So as far as I'm concerned, I have no problem with the porch. Affects nothing. Plans look solid.
Well, again, I'm gonna have to rely on you two because I obviously, having just returned on Saturday, I haven't had a chance to look at the project.
You should have stayed away wherever you were.
But I mean, no sightlines are affected whatsoever. It's very, very secluded back there.
Tell me about the chimney. Is that, you're showing a chimney on the plan, is that on the house or not? The drawings show a chimney.
Okay, yes.
Does that exist on the building?
Yes, that, everything's existing. Everything's existing. Our request is to move the door from the left side of the rear to the right side and making it a regular entry door into a French door, 5-foot French door.
Bill, have you looked at this?
Yeah, and the thing is that this whole back area that we're talking about is not in anyone's sight line whatsoever.
You want to make a
All
motion?
of this stuff towards the back.
You want to make a motion?
Well, we also, I mean, I don't want to make a motion without, I mean, I'm seeing this application. We also have windows.
There is a window package in there
Maybe I just don't.
with that French door.
Okay, just let me double check.
It's from
Take
Riverhead.
that from me. Yeah, I just want to check and make sure Anderson 400s, yeah, standards. Yeah, Mike, I don't know if you looked at these, but they're standard Anderson 400s.
Pardon?
The windows, they're all fine by me. The Anderson 400s, they're pretty much the staple out here. So yeah, I'll make a motion. Lot 7 or plat 7, lot 75. We're just on siting and massing, correct? On this application. I propose approval for siting and massing. Patricia Ganji, 350 High Street.
Well, can we go further if we have all the information?
I'm okay with going further.
I mean, you said we have the information on the windows.
We do have the information on the windows.
Anything
This
else?
is enough on the deck on the last page. It's using AZEK skirt, pressure even drew the footings correctly, which most people don't. Just saying, he actually did a good on those. Yeah, but I'm okay with final on this. I'm okay with final. This is really dressing up the house.
It needs dressing up.
It does.
It really does.
It does. Back in December, January, I was working a few
Yeah.
houses down, so I
Yeah.
drove by it a bunch of times and saw you guys working, and actually went out to that back lot.
So the relocation of the windows and doors, how does that affect the siding?
Siding will be same as existing,
Are you replacing the siding?
just around where we're working, that area.
Not the whole side?
Yeah, it'll be the whole side, yes.
The whole
Won't
side
be
of the
The other
building.
3 sides, just that side, the back side.
Not the front side?
Next year, she's running out of money.
Shingles
She's
on
doing a
cheap,
lot,
Mike.
she's doing a lot more work than she anticipated when she purchased the home. It needs a lot.
I didn't hear anyone on the second that motion, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you for having me today. Appreciate your valuable time.
This is yours. I don't have them.
The next item on the agenda is Great Salt Pond Marina LLC, plat 19, lot 5 and 6.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you all. We are here today asking for some 3 windows and 3 doors to increase the employee housing down at the theater building. We're gonna add 3 new rooms, which has building approval. It's just the windows and the doors that are built to provide access to the rooms. All of the housing, fresh, nice, new employee housing. It's the dire need for how to make it work, and we think we came up with a good solution.
I think it looks like Motel 6.
Yeah, if we think about what it is.
Well, yes, you can. You can. You can. You can. You know, take an unattractive building and make it more unattractive is not a good thing.
Following in keeping with what the building is, add the 3 extra doors, I really don't think adds to the general attractiveness of the building.
So this is the existing?
Yes.
And the proposal, this next page is,
Which is,
and
is
that is
this,
what it's gonna look like.
No.
no, this is what it's gonna look like. Is this the side that faces the water or faces?
Yes.
See it. You have a restaurant, right?
I know, but you can see it when you drive down there.
Personally, I'm actually happy you guys are doing something for your employees. I lived in this building 13 years ago. It was awful then. So it's,
We're trying to,
We renovated the fashion stop on the.
I just don't think you're probably gonna do that until you guys get all the way.
we're trying, it's baby steps. It'd be nice if we could just,
Ugly.
eventually we
Ugly,
can get back for a different version.
The other thing we got is to get this one again. That's why we're going to make this. And they're going to ask for windows, 5 of those, 3 kind of doors, 9 existing. And it does, but it's gonna be like 10, very much into the text.
Which is, I didn't hear you.
So
It's
this,
gonna be like 10, very much immediate text.
this drawing is the front and the back,
Yes.
and so we're here, and that's been approved, is that correct?
No,
No,
no, that's what we're here.
I thought you said we're here to do the windows.
No,
The windows and the door.
and the design, and the design.
Oh, and the design.
And I'm the one who said it looks like Motel 6.
Result 6 would be an improvement. Most of the stuff has been done.
So the top represents the facing the water?
No,
Yes.
oh. I thought you said this one represents facing the water.
No, it's the top one. That's the one that we're asking for. The top one.
The bottom one is what exists on the other side already.
Oh, it looks like this already?
Yes,
Yes.
that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it has a lovely view of the swamp. Like I said, I lived with many years now.
So I didn't,
Yes,
okay,
the bottom one is what's currently existing, and there's no current plans to change that.
That exists.
That
That
exists.
exists now.
Okay, so it's just the front you're changing.
Just the front, we're just adding
And the doors are thermatrue doors?
the 3 windows and the 3 doors to the left of the plan to do, that's what we're adding.
And we're-
The doors are thermatrue doors?
They're 5 glass doors.
Yeah.
Is
Who's the
there,
Yes.
manufacturer?
So, I don't know.
is there a reason why the window head height and the door head height aren't the same?
What they're proposing.
Right.
Just an actual existing. So if you look on the right hand side, you'll see the windows and the door heights are different. So it's really just an actual existing.
Somehow the doors bother me.
Yeah.
No, the way they look, the look of it on the building.
Again, they were presented to match existing, so.
Don't
So which are new windows?
It's on the left side, top up there, they indicated it, some thin lines.
Well, because the ones on the right are existing, doesn't mean that the ones on the left have to match it, because the ones on the right are pretty ugly, so the ones on the left, the window head height at least could be the same as the door head height.
So you're saying the ones on the right exist,
Yes, sir.
The three of
doors
them,
and windows,
Doors and windows,
and they're of that design?
yes.
And you're adding the porch,
Yeah, we're removing an old.
so it's a fairly major change to the look of the building, which would justify
Yeah, it is.
everything looking the same. And
Are you replacing an existing deck or are you,
We're replacing an existing deck and then adding on where the three doors are going. We're going to extend the deck for those three doors.
so basically it's a new deck.
The elevation's too wide, they're not,
It's basically a new deck.
yeah, there's 31 feet of new deck.
which will be last approved, what's there. And the rating is what you approved last year.
Now, will you be changing the fascia boards on the deck all the way across? Or
No.
just,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a complete new deck, so yes.
oh, it is a complete new, that's the point. That's the new deck. Now, I agree with Arlene. There's some way to. I think the doors play a large function in that. Those plastic doors are 6 over, or whatever they are. 6 over the panels, 6 panel.
Yeah.
With doors with some glass in it, would that be more attractive or not?
That could be.
Pardon?
So I mean, in principle, I think connecting these two decks, it's gonna really go to the doors, but connecting the deck actually will make that side look better.
Yeah, I agree, but if we're gonna make it look better, look,
Could trim on, you know, a little bit more ladder trim on the doors.
If you look at your package, there is a proposed door.
yeah, I saw that.
These do lead directly into people's rooms.
What's that?
The doors lead directly into somebody's room.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying, you don't necessarily want to have a big window.
well, you got windows right next to it.
Right.
You got a double hung window right next to it. Right?
Small windows, I would put big curtains.
Well, I think the new window should be at 6'8" for the head height.
The windows what?
The head of the window should at least match the head of the door, and then they can do something with the trim to make it look a little better. Because I don't see any trim around the windows except narrow.
I think that's part of it. It looks institutional.
Yeah, it's designed to match it.
Yeah.
So not to change from one side to the other.
It's all right, you
But
can make it
If you're
better.
doing such a major change, that may not be an issue.
And most people don't go around the back side of the building.
Thank God.
How big are these rooms?
The closets,
These ones are bigger than most of the rooms you would have stayed in.
well, 13 years ago, there were closets.
Yeah.
They still are.
Yeah, it's,
Those small windows also worked. That was how you got into your next door neighbor's room. If they left them locked the door, you just pop the window open. Crawl through. So,
Well, I would like to see the windows, the new windows at least, the head height the same as the door, and also for the new windows and doors to have, 4-inch trim around the whole thing.
So that
So-
would be on all of them then?
On the new, you know,
Well,
we can't make them
Yes,
do,
we can.
yeah. Well, you can't raise, they'd have to raise the head heights on these 3 windows that are existing. I don't want to burden them with that. But the new ones, eventually these windows are gonna have to be replaced. The 3 existing. And at such time, then they can raise the head heights.
Are we here just for citing the massing still on this one?
No, there's no real sighting and, yeah.
Yeah.
We're hoping to, if we could get approval, then we could potentially have those rooms for this summer, which would be amazing.
Is-
But at this point, it is possible for us to get these rooms done if we.
Because this side of the building is pretty visible, you know, from
Yeah,
the swimming pool. from
It
the-
would seem to me that if we're doing a major change to this, that we try to get conformity across the whole face of the building, whatever it is.
Well, I don't necessarily think that this is a major change. When you talk about the number of doors and the number of windows in this building, we're adding 3 doors and 3 windows.
Yeah. and-
Yeah, well, that's better than 50% of the amount of doors and windows
And
So-
building, no, on that side.
on that side.
Yeah, so. I mean,
So all we're saying is move the head height up and then put a 4-inch trim around
no, we
the,
don't have a problem with that.
and I think we'd like to see trim around the existing as well.
But I don't think my take is that I don't see how you can raise up the windows on one side and not the other side. Trying to have this place conform.
Well, I would say it's a direction you're moving towards, then as Irene has mentioned, eventually these, and not in the so far future, the windows are going to need to be replaced. They're not budgeted for this year. We're really just trying to do what we can for this year, but I think hearing that that's the direction you want us to go, that's certainly not a problem. But when it comes time, which won't be too far in the future, I don't think, to kind of finish up on that side. So if you want it to look nicer for the 3 new ones, and then when we eventually replace those, we move in that direction. Certainly don't think it's not gonna be 10 years down the line.
Are you
What do you think?
suggesting that you would hold the application and not do anything until you're ready to do the whole thing?
No, we're saying we'd like to do the 3 doors and the 3 windows, and with the understanding that when the other ones need to be replaced, we'll be making it match the new ones. I think that's fair.
So,
I said, I think that's fair.
yeah, I'll make a motion that the head heights on the windows are raised to match the head heights on the doors. On the 4 new windows and there's 3 new doors. And that a 4.5-inch or 6, what do you think, 4.5 or 6-inch trim?
Probably 4.5.
4.5-inch trim be placed around each pod, if you will, of window and door, except the one on the left, you have to do one on the window and one on the door, and then one on the lone window. And then when they replace the 3 windows on the right side of the facade, those windows will be raised so the head height is even with the head height of the door, and with the same type of trim.
Just to ask a question, what style of door do you want to see?
Any thoughts?
Being that it's employee housing. I think it's a good point about any sort of glass into the door. For a practical basis, yes, it would look a little bit nicer. But realizing how much of a beating that building takes, I think I would rather see a solid door than constantly see one window punched out or one window with glass on it on a regular basis. And that's just been my experience down there. Employee housing is just always a mess. You have to build it a little bit more rugged. But that being said, you could always, ask for, 2 two small windows on top.
Yeah,
Uh,
that would put
but I
more,
wouldn't go with any bigger than that.
right, but that would give some more light to the people inside too.
They're never in there, they're working 16-hour days. Or at least back in the grill days.
I don't want too much.
I'd be in favor of having the glass in the doors.
What's your motion?
Okay, and so the top two panels of the doors will be glass.
Or it can be a single pane.
It wouldn't look good, I don't think.
No, because it's not gonna match the
Yeah.
existing.
Pardon?
It's not gonna match the other doors if you have a single panel, this way at least. if you
Well, there's a
have
lot
two-
that's not going to match.
Right, exactly, so I could see them have lights in them, but I don't think we should.
Bill, any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Fine with what?
Right now, yeah, had its turned, 3 windows when they're replaced. And, windows in the top panels on the doors.
Two panels.
Yeah, top 2.
That's why I read that.
Okay, I guess we need a second to it.
So the four panels would have lights in them, is that what?
These three doors would have lights in the top.
Just the top?
The top, right. That way somebody can't put their hand through and. Although it's hopefully thermopane, so,
I guess what you're not talking about the 4 panels, you're just talking about the 2 small ones at the
Right.
top?
Yes.
right.
What does that gain?
Gain
So it
some,
doesn't change.
Not sure. Those two panels glass. I haven't seen that.
I don't, they do. I have one.
You do.
Yeah, it's a thermo-true door.
Okay.
I also have one of those doors that just has a single upper panel
Right.
of glass. In places of 4 that are there. I mean, if we're trying to change the look, I would go for the single pane. But it's your emotion.
well, then we'll leave it the way it is, because, you know, unless you're playing for the New York Knicks, you can't look in those upper windows.
The end of your motion?
Yes,
I second that.
All in favor?
aye.
I vote no. I would like to have the single pane of glass.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Chris.
You'll be seeing us going forward.
Afternoon, I guess it is.
Good afternoon.
You have the floor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Eric Zwena, founding principal of ZDS Architecture and Interiors, offices in Providence, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. This is my first time in front of you folks, so it's a pleasure to meet you all. Representing Mr. Steve Filippi. We're looking at 42 Water Street. The project is about the addition of a second story inside the existing footprint of the building. Square footage is about 3,300 square foot addition, inside addition, with a deck space of 745 square feet. we spent some time in this package just trying to identify how best to get the space needed without impacting the architectural envelope as best we could. And from the west, I think the renderings behind me depict it best. These are the same images that are in your package. But the one on the right is looking from the west, showing minimal impact to the existing structure. The only new architectural feature is at the actual ridge of the structure, where those clear story windows are spreading light into the new second floor space. The rendering on the left is showing the access points from that upper floor onto a new deck that stare down to the existing patio that's there today. I'm not sure if you've had time to digest the package, but this is our first time introducing you to the project. And so we're just here for your feedback on ways that we can make this better.
Well, we're missing two very critical elevations here, and that's the north and the south. And that tells you how high the building is actually going to be compared to what it is now, because these don't tell you that. And I don't think we can proceed any further without those elevations.
Okay.
And also, I don't know how we feel about the stairs that encroach on the coastal feature. That's not our purview. That has to go before CRMC, I would think. And I don't see us proceeding before we see something from CRMC.
You guys go to CRMC for preliminary determination, but you guys can go for me first and then go to CRMC. This could change if you go with you guys first.
And-
We have to pick town first, then CRMC.
Okay, and then the third thing is the dumb waiters. Does that protrude into the right of way down to the beach on
No,
the,
it does not, that right away belongs to Bowers on that right away, we have the right to use that property, and my dad sold that. So if you want, we can sit down and go over the right away, different conversation, but that right away is the Bowers uses dumpster. Property, that's the jam bags, and we can decide each floor, if you want.
well, that's not our purview, but I would like to,
Can I just ask again, what you were saying about the right of way?
the proposed dumb waiter encroaches on the right of way to the beach.
Okay.
That's the-
Going onto another lot.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, these dumbwaiters are in the kitchen of the existing building. I'm not sure if I understand the question. This building extends further to Plan East, which is the existing kitchen of the establishment. So those dumbwaiters are inside the existing footprint of the building.
It looks like they're these here.
Yes, the ones, plan.
It looks like it's
East.
outside the building.
Um,
Proposed dumb waiter, it says.
Yeah, if you turn to page 3, the pink area is the new roof line. The dumbwaiters that we're talking about are inside the roof line, right to the right of that, the white roof right to the right of that. They're inside the property.
It's not
Okay,
clear.
page 3, what,
The pink area, again, the pink area on page 3,
Yeah.
that pink area is the new roof line, giving us the head height for the 3,300 square feet of new space. The dumbwaiters that we're referencing are just to the right of that in the existing white roof line. Yes, thank you. Yep.
Right of way, is that?
That's what they're saying. It's not our purview, really. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, how do the rest of you feel? I don't see it as north and south elevations. This is-
Well, the,
Or a model.
how much is the actual roof line changing? Are we talking about 4 feet for those skylights going through?
Yeah, it's a 4-foot raise on the ridge, and then it slopes back towards the water on the backside. The new roof line on the backside is higher than the existing one that's there today. But I understand the need for these two additional elevations there. It's a little impact looking from the north because that tower, the existing tower is going to prevent you from seeing too much, but I understand the request. Happy to provide that, I understand. But because we're here, whatever, we're happy to accept any additional feedback. The intent of the elevation on page 6 is to show just exactly how little it does interrupt the existing structure.
Well, I make a motion that we table this until we have all 4 elevations of the building.
Is there anything else that we need in the way of information
Well, not for
to
siding,
include that?
not for siding, that I can see, for siding and massing. But probably a site plan of where the property lines actually are.
Site plan should be included.
Page 3 shows a architectural site plan, but it does limit scope to the proper. This property is somewhat expansive, and we don't have a current survey, but I think you're just asking for an architectural survey.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a D1 or
Okay.
B1.
Yeah, again, we didn't think it was necessary because we are talking about living within the existing footprint of the structure that's there today. The loose stair at that coastal feature edge is something that we'll certainly make sure we have no intention of encroaching on the coastal feature. Or surpassing that coastal feature edge.
So it's a motion. You keep hitting your mic, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're all very sensitive.
Is there anything else we need, though? You want a site, need an elevation, site plan? Is anyone else interested in seeing anything else?
I'm trying to.
Probably we need a photo of,
Excuse me.
oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, getting a sense of how the kitchen area relates to the rest of the building. Drawing number 3 is all clear. Drawing 4. This is just the main part of the building.
Yeah, it's the existing floor plan showing what would be new to access the second level, which is the new stair, new limited use elevator and dumbwaiters that are coming out of the kitchen. And if you go to the next page, you'll see the new space, finishing kitchen, and new restrooms, and some storage areas flanking the plan south.
What is the key plan? It's the
Key
same
plan-
thing I'm looking at that's just enlarged?
That's correct. Yeah, the key plan on page 5 is diagrammatically explaining the new space relative to the existing footprint. And we're blowing up that area in red, hatched in red to the right.
And the drawings around the red is represents what?
The existing lower level dining room. Yeah, so we're taking the existing double height vaulted space and we're bifurcating that space on the east side of the property. And so that space on the east side of the property will be bifurcated by a second level. And that red hatched area is the area that will be the location of that floor.
So maybe instead of elevations, and we'll include those just to be comprehensive, but a section is probably gonna help you most. With understanding how we're inserting this new second floor inside this double vaulted space.
Yeah, section and those two elevations. And then we're gonna need, you know, what the windows are gonna be. And
Of course. Of course. Procedurally, if we were able to bring the windows and doors, would you like to see windows and door schedules to provide your conceptual, before providing your conceptual approval? Or do we want to make sure we come back here with everything we need to be successful? So
Well, I think we're gonna do a preliminary when you come back next. And then we'll move on for the windows and doors.
we'll circle back to you on the after.
After this will be after.
Okay. Is there any way to merge those two hearings together if we bring everything with us?
But we can consider
Okay.
what we have at the time. Motion on the floor.
Yes, I didn't hear a second.
No, I think there was a second.
I'll second it. Since I didn't do that.
Can I just ask one more question? Is there any feedback that we could receive from you folks today about architecture and design? To make sure that if there are things that we need to work a little bit harder on, that we take that time to do so prior to our next meeting?
it's hard to tell until we see the section and the end elevations. It's, you can't tell from this, you know?
Is the overall height, that's lower than the tower, is that correct?
That's correct.
It would also be good to see a photograph of how this impacts the hill to the south of it.
What is the overall height?
The overall height, the existing is 2610. The proposed is 30 feet, 10 1/4 inches. That's without the tower. We're communicating those two dimensions to help understand or communicate the height change. But the tower is still taller than both of those numbers.
So the new roof is roughly two feet above the existing roof.
4 feet above the existing
Four?
ridge. Yeah.
I thought you said 28 to 30.
No, 26.
26, yeah.
And that's glass?
Glass clear story windows on the, it'll be a mulled window system, on the west side.
And that's
Which is in the right.
facing east.
This is facing west. Here are those new clear story windows that are in your package. Basically a rendering of the elevation that you have in that package. And then on the left is basically a rendering of the elevation you have in that package as well, showing a new second story with doors that egress out from the patio. So I think what I'm hearing or what my notes will reflect is that this edge is the newest edge that I think might have an impact on architectural integrity, and that section would communicate exactly that. Because this edge of this roof now currently is the way it is down there.
Right.
And I think there's actually on page 2, I believe, there is a photo of the existing conditions that, helps explain that as well.
Page 2.
Page 2, yes. That's a photo, the top photo, both photos on the left are photos taken of the backside of the building. This is the bigger impact with the additions right here.
The lower photo is
Yeah, both photos on that left side are taken from the rear of the building, so.
on
one
the
is-
beach side.
Yes, yeah, one is standing on the patio wall of that coastal feature. And the top one is, set back on the, maybe the water is about 10 feet behind us.
I just want to remind you that you do have a motion and a second, you haven't voted on.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna- So in the top drawing, on the left, the structure that extends out, is that the kitchen?
On the left-hand side, correct. On the lower level is the kitchen. On the upper level, it's some offices and some, back of house spaces.
And so somehow we have to be able to see how that new look merges with that. We don't have that.
Yeah, understood. We can do a better job of communicating that.
Okay.
The condition of where the new roof meets the old.
Right.
Okay.
So did you say the second floor is kitchen, offices, bathhouse spaces?
Bathrooms, restrooms for restrooms.
And seating?
It's an open plex space. It'll be more of
A party room.
And there's already bathrooms on the second floor,
Okay.
and there's already,
That use up there, that is gonna change,
no, it's bathroom, it's right now, it's bathrooms and office right now. It's already there.
but it's not a meeting space.
I'm a part of me.
So there is a bathroom, there are bathrooms upstairs now. These are different, on page 5, you're seeing a much different layout to support the occupancy increase on this upper level. So more fixtures upstairs than what's there today, but there is plumbing up there today.
So it's at page 5.
How big is that? How big is that? There's no dimensions on it.
The event space or the open space is 2225. That square footage is a little small, but it's right underneath that label. The total new square footage is.
No, but I mean, distance, front to back and side to side.
Okay, I can bet, I have a scale I'm happy to measure, but I can also bring plans that have more dimensions on them to our next hearing.
So page 5 represents the second floor?
Correct.
Partial. You know, it doesn't show the whole building. It's just showing the part that's gonna be the second floor. It would be nice to see the whole, you know. Oh, well, the key plan has the whole building.
Well, no, in your defense, it does not. It's still showing the kitchen cut out of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a sprawling building, and we're trying to keep the plans at a level.
So this is not for additional rooms, this is just.
Well, we're adding a second story inside of one story, a double story vaulted space. So we are picking up real estate, usable real estate, but we are not encroaching outside of the footprint of the existing building. The only encroachment, or the only appendage that exceeds past the original footprint is this deck, which I think that the rendering on the left clearly shows. So you see.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I guess I assumed that this was, there were rooms on the second floor.
No,
Just a big meeting room.
Yes, we can call it that. I mean, I think the use is gonna be a multi-functional space. It's
Event space, you call it.
Yeah.
Slot machines.
Slot machines don't work, they don't work. No one doesn't. They really don't. Everyone's on their phone.
Everybody's gambling on their phone.
The windows that face the west.
Mhm.
Those are multi-pane. Each section is. But is that a flush? I mean, they're all on the same plane?
We wouldn't want them all to be in the same plane. We would certainly want there to be some depth there, but that articulation hasn't yet been resolved.
So the drawing shows them recessed from the.
If you're looking at page
6. Page 8. That's why we need those other 2 elevations to see how that works.
I'm not quite sure those 2 elevations will help us here. The windows you're looking at, sir, are the new ones at the top, up at the ridge line, right? Yeah, and that's going to be a series of smaller windows that are mulled together, fixed. that are just gonna allow some light down into this space from the west. However, they'll be separated, you know, the way it's being communicated in this rendering for now is that it's 6 windows that are all mulled together, and then there'd be a style that comes down with some trim work. And someone was mentioning earlier in the hearing that they were using a Burrell, they didn't quite say Burrell, but a fly ash man-made, you know, composite. That's probably how we'll trim out those windows too, just to get some depth and to get some more articulation of design up at that ridge.
Well, if I look closely at the drawing, some of them show a small pane at the end of the section of each window.
You know, interestingly enough, I think what's happening there is the reflection through the glass and the rendering. Maybe the renderer took a little poetic license there, but I can promise you that they'll all be equally spaced windows.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they'll be recessed from the
from the frame, yeah. So
Significant
they'll be vertical
or-
posts. Well, I think that's something we can talk about. I mean, I'd like to match what's going on in the rest of the property, which in most cases is about 2 to 3 inches, but if we wanted to do something unique there, because it is sort of up on that roof all by itself, we could.
So we still have the motion.
Yes, I understand. Any other questions? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you for your time. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion